Hello everyone, welcome to Katharine's Creatures, and this is episode 67, and this is a series where I get to touch base and talk a little bit about various mythological creatures, beast beings, and the like pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything along the way, I apologize in advance, and I do try my best. Now, coming actually inspired by a movie I recently watched, I wanted to talk today a little bit about the doppelganger. And the doppelganger is actually a German word, and we'll get into the meaning of the word itself and the concept of the doppelganger as this paranormal entity, in a sense. But essentially, a doppelganger is kind of a biologically unrelated person who looks almost identical to another living person. So two people who are unrelated, looking, maybe even talking, or even acting almost identical. Now, more often than not, again, these doppelgangers are associated more with the paranormal than with the genetic modern day understanding of how things work. But the paranormal side of things, they're usually the harbingers of ill luck or bad things to happen or to come. They represent the concept of the evil twin. Another term that actually has been used for the doppelganger in the past is a term that's called that is the twin stranger. Of course, doppelganger always sounds really a lot more interesting on the ear of at least an English speaker like myself. Now, their doppelganger comes from a German loan word, which is spelled doppelganger, but spelled a little different than the entity. With that said, the name doppelganger means double walker. And there is actually a female term, so doppelganger being the male in German, and in female, the word is Doppelgängerin. So in German, there's actually a gender difference, though most of the time when we refer to it as English speakers, it is a gender-neutral entity term. Okay, moving on. So the word doppelganger was first used in 1796 by an author, Jean-Paul, and his novel, let me go check its name, Sieben Kas? I am so sorry if I mispronounced that, but that's where the word first appeared, and Jean-Paul also had like this little side note talking about the doppelganger and what he was writing about. And interestingly enough, the way we perceive it is more of the way once other authors from England and everything got the concept and word of doppelganger and started labeling other entities that had similar ideas. For instance, there was or is a entity, again, this dual phantasm, this spirit that looks like someone else, and the term is called the fetch. And that word or fetch of the concept of these dual people, these evil spirits, these dark entities that look, walk, can almost be mistaken by a living person, had been documented as early as 1786 by more English writers. But once the word doppelganger kind of came about, an author named Katharine wrote a book about paranormal phenomena, and actually is the one who made the term doppelganger become hyper-popularized. And I think her book is called The Night Side of Nature, but again was trying to explain these darker phenomena and use the concept of the doppelganger, this dark entity, this evil double that exists in the world. And ever since then, doppelgangers as we know it have become sensationalized because of her. And since that kind of paranormal side of things, there have been a number of famous cases where various people have claimed or have written about or have documented moments where they've come across either their own doppelgangers or doppelgangers of someone they know. For instance, in 1612, there was a man named John Donne, who documented a time where he came across his wife's doppelganger. But if you are interested in this kind of concept, there are lots of literature and lots of examples of historical instances where people have bumped into, crossed paths with, or heard of tales of people coming across their own doppelganger, and more often than not, that's not a good thing. Bad things occur when that happens. In fantasy and fiction and more modern day cinema and TV, it pops up a lot. For instance, the comedy sitcom show How I Met Your Mother actually had a whole season where the characters each would bump into their own doppelganger at some point throughout that season. And case in point, the reason why I wanted to bring it up today is I was watching a movie called Enemy that was put out not that long ago, and it had some very strong doppelganger vibes throughout its kind of eerie story that it was telling. So with that said, doppelgangers are part of modern day fiction, fantasy, and the realm of the paranormal. And if you have any questions about this or anything else, post it in the comments below or just message me on any of my social media. And until next time, Skull.